So once again, we step back from our metaphoric canvas that we've been working on, which is our art historical understanding, to look and see, okay, how does it all fit together? And where do we still need to work? Presumably, Rembrandt here is stopping in the middle of painting to assess what he wants to change or whether there's something that's not working. So here we step back and we think about how the visual evidence, the physical evidence of sensory investigation then has to be connected to formal analysis. So as we rely on our senses, we need to then give our senses a structure of concepts, art historical concepts that help put that sensory information together. So you're still using your senses to gather the physical evidence, the visual evidence, but now you're paying attention to concepts and terms that allow you to categorize what you're seeing and to have it add up to a better picture of what the artist chose to do. So that when you're looking at color, you learn to think about hue. Did the artist use yellow? Did the artist use green? But you also learn to think about the value scale, right? So this allows you to get ever more subtle and precise, which is always your goal. So you should be revisiting and revisiting these terms so that you can use them again and again. They are one of your keys to strong writing. And that's surely the case with space, for instance, because people do not naturally know how to talk about pictorial space, which is illusionary space, in which you have a picture plane, a foreground, a middle ground, a background, and a ground plane. Once you have those concepts, you can do a lot more with Rembrandt's wonderful self-portrait. Look how much the ground plane takes up of the surface, this big ground plane, and how close to the picture plane the edge of the easel is, as if the easel is closest to the viewer, whereas the painter is more in the background, which creates an interesting flip of our expectations. That's what the formal analysis terms are meant to do, to help you have tools to see more, to think more, to confront aspects of the artistic choices that you might not even have noticed. So in terms of space and the real space of architecture, once you learn about longitudinal designs and centrally planned, you can notice that Hagia Sophia is actually a hybrid of the longitudinal and the central plan. Some students sort of jumped to the conclusion that it's a centrally planned building because of the dome, but in fact, that circle of the dome rests in a square that then is embedded within these elongated circular conches plus the apse. So there is both a longitudinal pole and a vertical pole, which makes it really interesting. So this is why the idea of key terms or formal analysis concepts are tied with being precise in your analysis. And in terms of critical thinking, precision is everything. Precision is where you can be powerful. It is important to learn the terminology that's used to construct a formal analysis and to use it well. Because think about medical terminology. Here's a Leonardo da Vinci anatomical sketch. You'll be learning about him at the end of the class. And it's incredibly precise, right? And among the earliest sort of successful efforts to dissect a cadaver and really and quite precisely and realistically render all of the muscles. Now, if you have a pain in your shoulder and the doctor says, yeah, there's something going on up there in the shoulder, you have a lot less confidence in that doctor than if the doctor says, the anterior deltoid here, I see, is tight because of the way the pectoralis major has been overdeveloped. Okay, I'm making this up, but it matters to distinguish anterior deltoid, pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, serratus anterior. That's about being precise. So that is one of your major critical thinking skills, which is really about moving from being vague to being precise and specific. Whatever subject you're studying, and certainly in art history, you should be moving ever more toward the precise and the specific.